Welcome to Fearbound Stories. Please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now let's begin. I used to work at a supermarket that closed at midnight. By the time we finished cleanup and inventory, it was usually well past 1 a.m. The store sat at the edge of a massive, poorly lit parking lot, the kind where the lamps flicker more than they shine. Most nights I walked to my car half asleep, scrolling through my phone, barely paying attention. It felt safe, until the night it didn't. That night the air felt colder than usual. No breeze, just cold, like stepping into a freezer. The second I pushed open the employee doors, I felt something tighten in my chest. That instinct, you know the one, whispered, "Don't walk to your car tonight," but I ignored it like always. I stepped outside, and the parking lot stretched out in front of me, quiet, empty, except for a few abandoned carts and an old silver sedan parked all the way in the back row. Its headlights were off, but something about it bothered me. It wasn't there when I arrived for my shift. I didn't think much of it until I reached the halfway point of the lot. My footsteps echoed. The silence felt wrong. The lamps above me buzzed, then hummed louder. Then one of them blinked out completely, drowning the far end of the lot in darkness. And that's when I heard it. The soft rumble of an engine. I froze, slowly. The headlights of the silver sedan flicked on, two dull yellow eyes opening in the dark. I tried to stay calm. People sit in their cars at night all the time, right? Maybe the driver had just arrived. Maybe they were waiting for someone. But then the car started rolling toward me. No rush, no screeching tires. Just a slow, creeping glide, like someone was trying not to draw attention. I stepped to the side of the aisle to let it pass, pretending I wasn't bothered. But the car didn't pass. It turned, following my movement exactly. I tried walking again a little faster. The car picked up speed, just enough to match me. I cut between two rows. The car swerved sharply, turning into the next lane to intercept me. That tight feeling in my chest exploded. I dropped my phone and broke into a run. The car accelerated. Hard. Headlights bounced wildly as it tore down the row parallel to me. I could hear gravel peppering the pavement from under its wheels. I didn't look back. I just sprinted. My keys slipped from my sweaty hand and clattered under a car. I didn't stop. I ducked behind a white SUV, crouching as low as I could, my breath shaking so badly I thought the whole lot could hear it. The sedan screeched to a halt. The engine rumbled loudly, aggressive, impatient. And then, I swear to God, I heard the sound of a door opening. A long, slow creak. Someone stepped out, their shoes clicking on the pavement. I clamped a hand over my mouth. My eyes stung from keeping them open so wide. I could hear footsteps moving around the SUV, deliberate and slow, like whoever it was knew I was hiding. They paused just a few feet away, so close I could see their shadow stretching across the asphalt. Then, something metal scraped along the side of the SUV. A knife? A key? Something sharp dragging lightly, almost playfully. I waited for a breath I could recognize, heavy, angry, human. But what I heard instead didn't sound like breathing at all. It was clicking. Quiet, irregular clicks like someone tapping their teeth together. Then, without warning, the footsteps stopped. The shadow vanished. The clicking stopped. Nothing. Just silence. I stayed hidden for what felt like 10 minutes before I worked up the courage to peek over the car. The sedan's door was shut. The headlights were off. The car sat there like it had never moved at all. But whoever stepped out was gone. No footsteps leading into the lot. No figure walking away. Just empty asphalt. I walked all the way back to the store and begged the overnight manager to drive me home. I quit that job 3 days later. Sometimes on nights when I leave my apartment late, I catch myself scanning the parking lot before I take a single step. Because the worst part is, 2 weeks later, the police found a silver sedan abandoned near the edge of town. And inside it, in the trunk, were zip ties, duct tape, a flashlight, and a jar full of human teeth. Before we move on to the next story, give us your verdict on this one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I used to work at a small retail store inside a dying strip mall. One of those places where half the shops are empty and the other half look like they're trying not to admit they should be closed too. My shift usually ended at 10 p.m., which meant by the time I locked everything up, the mall was empty. Completely empty. No music, no voices, just the humming of fluorescent lights that had been buzzing since the early 90s. The parking lot was the worst part. 4 giant lampposts, each one flickering in a different rhythm, yellow light dripping down onto cracked asphalt. Most nights I made it to my car without a problem, but one night something changed. We closed early because a storm was rolling in. The sky outside was purple-black like bruised skin. I stepped out into the lot, hugging my jacket, already annoyed by the way the lights kept flashing on and off. Only 3 cars were left. My manager's mine, and a small gray sedan parked by the sidewalk. I didn't recognize it, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get home. I got about 10 steps from the door when I noticed the gray sedan's headlights flicker on. Not fully, just a weak pulse. I stopped, looked at it, then kept walking. That's when I saw her. A woman sitting perfectly still in the driver's seat. No movement, no phone glow, no hands shifting on the wheel. Just sitting there. I tried to ignore her, but something about the way she stared straight ahead, unblinking, made my skin crawl. I sped up a little. My keys jingled in my hand. Then the mall lights above me went out. All of them. Total darkness swallowed the lot. I froze. My eyes strained in the dark. The storm clouds above blocked the moon. The only light now came from inside the mall, dull and far behind me. I tried to breathe quietly, but the silence made every inhale sound like a scream. Then, the gray sedan's headlights flickered again, twice, and the woman inside slowly turned her head and looked directly at me. Not at my general direction, not at movement. Right at me, like she could see through the dark without any light at all. I stepped back. My heel hit a piece of broken asphalt. Then, without warning, the lights above flickered back on with a harsh, buzzing snap. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The woman was now standing outside the car. I hadn't heard a door open. No footsteps. No movement. But she was there. And closer. Maybe 20 feet from me. Head tilted. Like she was studying me. I tried to speak, say hello, or ask if she needed help, but my voice locked in my throat. Then she stepped forward. Her foot made no sound. Another step. Silent. Her movements were jerky, like she was being pushed forward by something behind her. I backed up so fast I nearly slipped. My manager's car suddenly honked from across the lot. One long, desperate honk. He threw his door open and yelled my name. "Get in the car now!" Everything inside me snapped into survival mode. I sprinted. Behind me, I heard the woman's footsteps finally start. Fast, heavy, too heavy for someone her size, like she had been saving all her movement until I ran. I didn't look back, I didn't dare. I dove into my manager's passenger seat and slammed the door. He peeled out of the lot so fast the tires screamed. When I finally looked back, the woman was standing under the flickering lights again, perfectly still, watching us leave, her head tilted even further, almost sideways like she was disappointed. My manager was shaking. His voice cracked when he spoke.
"She was right behind you. I thought she was going to..."
He stopped. swallowed, shook his head. When the storm finally broke and rain washed through the lot, the woman and the gray sedan were gone. No tracks, no tire marks, nothing. Security said the cameras facing the lot malfunctioned that night. Every single one. And yet, for weeks afterward, whenever I left work, the lights above me flickered twice. The exact same way her headlights did. Like she was still watching. Still waiting. Before we move on to the next story, give us your verdict on this one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I used to work the late shift at a medical office complex that looked harmless during the day. Bright walls, soft music, posters about wellness. But after 9 p.m., the building changed. The lights hummed louder. The hallways felt too long, and the silence felt like it was listening. My job was simple. Lock the dental clinic, walk the hallway, check the lobby, and then head into the parking lot on the north side. I had done that routine for almost a year without anything unusual happening, until one Tuesday night. I finished locking the clinic and stepped into the hallway. The motion-activated lights blinked on one by one. Click, 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 stretching toward the end of the corridor. Except, they didn't all turn on. The last two remained dark. I frowned, waving my arm, waiting for the sensor to pick up movement. Nothing. I sighed and started walking anyway. I'd report the dead bulbs tomorrow. I got about halfway down when I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Behind me. I spun around instantly. The hallway behind me was empty, but the motion lights were turning off, one by one, like something was walking away from me. Click, 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 click. The darkness crept closer with each fading light, swallowing the path I had just walked through. I swallowed hard, telling myself it was faulty wiring. Just faulty wiring. That's all. I turned back toward the lobby. The lights ahead of me flickered too, once, twice, then stayed on. I continued forward, trying to shake off the feeling of being followed. That's when the footsteps started again. But this time, they weren't behind me. They were in front of me, in the darkness where the sensors hadn't triggered. A soft, slow tread, as if someone barefoot was walking just beyond the glow of the hallway lights. I froze. My breath stopped in my throat. I could hear the footsteps clearly now, light but deliberate, approaching me. But there was nothing there, just that strip of unlit hallway, the kind of darkness that feels thick, alive. My instincts screamed at me to run, but fear pinned my feet to the ground. Then, as the footsteps reached the edge of the light, just inches away, they stopped. Silence. Absolute crushing silence. I took a shaky step backward. The lights above me flickered. Then suddenly, the darkness moved. Not the lights, not the shadows. The darkness itself shifted forward, swallowing the last motion sensor bulb. Before I could react, the emergency lights above the exit snapped on. Bright red. Strobing. Alarming. All down the hallway, the motion lights began to turn on again one by one. Not because of me, but because something was moving through them. Fast. Too fast. Coming straight toward me. My legs finally listened. I ran. Full sprint, lungs burning, heart clawing its way into my throat. I burst through the exit door and stumbled into the parking lot. Cold night air slapped me across the face. I spun around. The hallway behind me was empty. Still. Silent. But just before the heavy door closed, I heard it. One final step. Right behind the door. As if someone stopped an inch away. Watching. Waiting. The next day, I asked maintenance about the sensors and lights. They said nothing was broken. Nothing had malfunctioned. Everything was working perfectly. I quit 2 weeks later. But even now, sometimes when I walk alone at night, I swear I hear footsteps behind me, soft, barefoot, following at the edge of the light, just like before, like whatever was in that hallway found its way out. Before we move on to the next story, give us your verdict on this one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Every night before closing, the janitorial staff rotated one specific duty: the dumpster run. The dumpster sat behind the building, down a narrow alley with only one dim yellow light that flickered over the loading dock. Nobody liked doing it. Not because it was hard, but because of the feeling people got back there. Like the walls were listening. Like the shadows watched you walk. Like the darkness pressed a little too close. I had done it dozens of times, and every time I told myself the same thing. It's just an alley, just trash, just 5 minutes. But the night everything changed. I knew from the moment I opened the back door that something was wrong. The air felt different. Heavy, thick, like walking into a room where someone had been crying. I stepped outside, the metal door thudding shut behind me. The light over the dock flickered. Once, twice, before settling into its usual shaky glow. I started down the alley, dragging the garbage bin behind me. The wheels scraped loudly against the cracked concrete. Too loudly. And underneath the noise, I heard something else. A second set of wheels. Like another bin was being dragged just a few feet behind me. I froze. The sound stopped instantly. I turned around. The alley was empty. Just brick walls, the flickering light, and the long stretch of darkness where the light couldn't reach. Probably an echo, I whispered. But the alley didn't echo. Not like that. I kept walking. The wheels behind me started again. Slow, dragging, matching my pace exactly. I spun around again. Nothing. This time the light flickered off completely. I stood frozen in total darkness. It stayed off for 7 full seconds. When it came back on, the dumpster lid was open. That lid was heavy. I always had to lift it with both hands, but now it stood open, like someone had pushed it up from inside. I took a step back. The lid slammed shut, metal against metal. So loud it echoed off the alley walls. I dropped the bin and ran. Not fast enough. Behind me, I heard the dragging again, only now it wasn't a bin. It was footsteps. Barefoot. Heavy. Wet. They slapped the concrete in uneven, staggering patterns. Like something was trying to run but didn't remember how. I reached the back door and yanked on the handle as hard as I could. It resisted for a moment, like something inside didn't want me coming back in. When it finally opened, I threw myself inside and slammed it behind me. I pressed my back against the metal door, breathing so hard I felt dizzy. But then, something pushed from the other side. A single heavy shove. The metal buckled inward. Just once. Then silence. I stood there in shock, waiting, listening. Nothing. When I reported it to the building supervisor the next morning, he frowned and said, "That's the 3rd time this month." Then he showed me the security footage. The cameras outside the back door had a wide view of the alley. You could see me dragging the bin. You could see me stopping, turning, hurrying. You could see me sprinting to the door. But behind me, there was nothing. No bin, no footsteps, no figure. Nothing chased me. Except, just before I reached the door, the dumpster lid slowly lifted, on its own, as if something tall was standing inside, watching me. The supervisor paused the video. "We've had strange complaints for years," he said. "Sometimes it's footsteps, sometimes voices, sometimes worse." I asked him what he meant by worse. He only shook his head. I quit the job a week later. But every now and then when I walk behind my apartment at night to take out the trash, I swear I hear it again. That dragging. Those footsteps, something following, matching my pace, staying just out of sight. Like whatever was in that dumpster finally climbed out. Before we move on to the next story, give us your verdict on this one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a certain kind of quiet that only parking lots have. A dead kind of quiet. Too wide, too empty, too expectant. That's why, on night shift, I always avoided the far back corner. The one where the lamppost had burned out years ago and nobody bothered fixing it. That corner felt wrong, like something waited there. But the night everything went bad, that's exactly where I had to go. It was just after 2 a.m. We were closing, and the last employee ran inside saying, "Hey, there's a car idling out back. No one's inside, no headlights, it's just running." We all assumed someone left their car on by accident. People do things like that on double shifts. I volunteered to check it, mostly because no one else wanted to walk out into the dark. When I stepped out the back door, the first thing I heard was the hum of the engine. Low, steady, almost too steady. Like it wasn't running on gasoline, but on something thicker, heavier. The car sat in the very back corner of the lot. A gray sedan, cold night around it. No movement inside. As I walked toward it, the engine tone changed, just slightly, like it recognized me. I stopped. Everything went quiet except for the low rumble. There was no exhaust steam, no vibration on the hood. It didn't even look like the engine was running, but I could hear it. Deep in my chest, I took a step closer. The engine instantly revved, a long, slow growl that rose unnaturally before settling back into that low idle. I backed up instinctively. Cars don't do that by themselves, especially empty ones. And when I looked through the driver's side window, I realized the keys weren't in the ignition. The car shouldn't have been on. I walked around the other side, trying to see inside from different angles. That's when I noticed the rearview mirror. Someone had written a sentence in the dust on the glass. "Don't turn around." My blood ran cold. I froze for a full 5 seconds. Then the engine revved again. Longer this time. Like it was angry. Or hungry. I stepped away slowly until I was about 10 feet from the car. But then, the back door of the sedan clicked open. Just a soft, casual click. Like someone inside was inviting me in. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I watched the door, slowly, painfully, creak open just a few inches. A cold draft rolled out from inside the car. Not like normal night air. This was colder. Sharper, like opening a freezer full of old meat. I reached for my walkie. "Hey, guys, you might want to come out here." No response. Just static. I tried again. Static. The car door opened another inch. My instincts screamed run, but something rooted me in place. Then the radio inside the car crackled to life. A man's voice whispered through the speakers. "Get in." Not a request, a command. The engine revved, louder than any sedan engine should rev, and the headlights flicked on all at once, blinding white. That broke whatever trance I was in. I bolted. Behind me, the engine roared like something alive. Metal twisting, gears grinding, tires screeching. But when I reached the back door of the building and spun around, the car was still in the same spot, silent, dark, engine completely off, like it had never moved. My coworkers rushed out, asking what happened. When I pointed at the car, it was empty. No footprints. No writing on the mirror. No open door. Nothing. Just a cold, dead car and an empty lot. I refused to walk back out there with them. But one of the guys insisted on checking the plates. He came back looking pale. "The tags expired 2 years ago," he said. "This car shouldn't even be here." Security checked the cameras the next morning. At 1:56 a.m., the parking lot was empty. "Then At 1:57, the car appeared. Not driven in, not parked, not rolled into place. It simply appeared. One frame empty, the next frame, car. Like something dropped it there. I quit the job a month later. But sometimes, when I'm walking home late at night, I hear an engine hum behind me. Low, steady, calling, and I never look back. I don't want to see if a gray sedan is idling there. Back door cracked open, waiting. You've just crossed the boundary between reality and the unknown. If you felt the fear tonight, make sure to subscribe before you leave, because on this channel every story is just the beginning. New nightmares arrive every few nights, each one darker than the last. Until then, keep your lights low, your doors locked, and your mind open. You are now part of the fear-bound family.